Hello, and welcome to Founder Freedom, From Hustler to CEO, the podcast built for e-commerce entrepreneurs and small business owners who are ready to work less, earn more, and scale smarter. I'm your host, Stephen Palmer, and today we're talking about turning frustration into a beloved brand. Today's guest is Eric Roering, co-founder of Fontana Candle Company, a clean-burning, transparency-first candle brand. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Fontana Candle Company and its value proposition to the world here?
Sure, yeah. So Fontana really started in 2017 after my wife and I were gifted a traditional big brand candle for Christmas. We weren't huge candle people at the time, so it was a nice gift. We decided to start burning it. And after about 10 to 15 minutes, we started getting headaches and not really feeling well. We blew it out and we started researching what was in this candle that we had brought into our home and found out that traditional candles can be laden with potentially hazardous or toxic ingredients that aren't disclosed. So when we looked at it, it was made with paraffin wax and fragrance. Fragrance being an industry term, a trade secret term that basically can include up to and over 3,000 different and undisclosed ingredients, a lot of them petrochemical based and are not disclosed. So you may or may not be allergic to them, but the only way to really find out if you are is if you start burning it and get sick from it, which my wife and I did. And so we said, I can make a candle. So I started going on YouTube and researching out how to make candles. We really narrowed down to using beeswax, coconut oil, and essential oils. And after about 150 different blends of the three and playing with the ratios, we kind of nailed down a blended mixture that we wanted to use for our own candles. So Thursday nights were our date nights, and we decided to make candles for fun. And so we started making them on Thursdays. We gave them to friends and family. They really liked them and said, hey, we buy these. So we decided to keep making and try our hand at a maker's market and went to our first maker's market. We sold $800 worth in our first show and were really awestruck and thought, wow, this could actually be a business.
Nice.
And so we kept on making candles on Thursdays, doing more and more maker's markets. My wife really focused on our e-com site and our social media presence and have grown from there. We now have 15 employees. We're in a 6,500 square foot warehouse, manufacturing site. We do all of our manufacturing. We do all of our order fulfillment, and 85% of our sales come directly through our e-com site.
That's awesome.
Yeah, our value proposition, like you stated, was we are ingredient transparent. So we will tell you every single thing that is in our candle. And so if you are allergic to something of an essential oil or whatever, you are able to be empowered to make the choice of whether or not you want to bring that into your home or not.
Nice. So the brand inspiration was that date night, that candle gift gone bad.
It absolutely was. Yeah, we really truly did not set out to make a candle brand or a candle company. It was really just a date night that kept on growing.
That's awesome. So as you were kind of developing the brand and moving it forward, any major challenges or gaps that you saw in the market that kind of led you to create your brand?
Yeah. So when we started looking, I didn't really look at competitive analysis because, again, we really weren't setting out to make a company. It was really just I could make a candle and started doing research.
Side hustle.
It truly was. And almost in the beginning, it wasn't even that. It was, hey, let's just make candles. It was fun. My wife always says that she went along with it because she figured it would fizzle out after 2 weeks. So 7 years later, it hasn't fizzled out yet. But as we grew and as it became a business, we started looking at the industry and other candles available. There was a lot of soy candles available. There was a lot of better for you fragrance candles available. But the one thing that we really noticed was that there still wasn't a lot of ingredient transparency. So it would tell you it was a soy wax or a soy wax blend. It would tell you that it had fragrance or phthalate-free fragrance, but it still didn't tell you exactly what was in all of those. And so that was really kind of as we built this and wanted to build a company, we really chose that as our why of complete ingredient transparency, allowing our customer to decide and have the power to decide what they wanted to bring into their homes and know what they're bringing into their homes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys kind of dissected those labels that we're all used to reading, but we know there's a lot of bullshit packed in there, but you guys just spilled it up right open.
That is, we are really trying to model ourselves around food packaging in the sense of we want to tell you exactly everything that goes into our candle. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it is. We are trying to disrupt that and kind of benchmark our candle against the food industry and packaging requirements.
That's pretty cool. So this question you kind of answered already, but I'm just going to put it out there one more time. Maybe I'll hit it a different way. So what was the existing way of doing things in the candle making that was broken that you're fixing?
Yeah, there's very low barriers of entry to making candles. You can go on any website, on any Amazon, and buy a candle making kit. A lot of the times they are paraffin based or they're soy blend based things and waxes that are really designed for candles. So they'll tell you at what temperature it melts at, what temperature to heat it up to, what temperature to add your fragrance oil to, what temperature to pour to. And so it is a very methodical recipe to follow. There's a lot of fragrances out there that'll say, safe for candles up to 12%. The blends of the wax will tell you this will handle up to a 15% fragrance load. Here's some colors that you can add. And so there is a very standard recipe for candle makers if they just want to make some candles. And so that was really not what we wanted to do. We wanted to make something custom. And so that's why we chose beeswax. We started with 100% beeswax. And when I was adding essential oils to it, beeswax was really hard and it wouldn't accept a lot of essential oils. So we couldn't get any kind of hot throw from it. So I was going through and researching and was like, okay, well, let's soften it a little bit and add coconut oil. And then it was, well, do I add 10%? Do I add 90%? And that was really where I spent a ton of my time, was trying to play with different ratios of soft to make a certain softness. And there's no recipe for it. There's very little follow through or guidance on, okay, well, if you're using these three things, this is how you should heat the wax, how you should melt the wax, how hot you should pour the wax. We were really kind of trailblazing it from that standpoint, and that there wasn't a lot of information out there for our specific blend. And so that was kind of how we were breaking away from the tradition of candle making of, here's a soy wax blend designed for container candles and it'll accept 12% fragrance, and here's a fragrance that goes with it.
Right. So you really solve this differentiation problem by going with the organic type labeling and following a healthy perspective in candle burning, which I could totally appreciate as a contractor.
Okay, yeah, you totally get it then.
I've been in many people's homes where a lot of buildings' interiors are painted white or whatever, but you could see the drafts of people that burn candles.
Absolutely.
If you just look up.
My mom burned candles every day when we were growing up, and she would wash the walls every year, and her sponge would have a nice black soot along it. Never understood why, but I very distinctly remember that.
Yeah. So this is awesome. This is a really insane breakthrough in candles from my perspective. Candles obviously are part of everybody's vision because they're everywhere, right?
They are
retail,
everywhere.
They're at boutique stores, they're at massage parlors, they're all over the place.
I kind of equate them to like the Reese's of home decor. Reese's you can buy everywhere, and I saw candles at my gas station the other day. You really can buy them everywhere.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
So let's say I'm a new customer. I'm looking at your brand for the first time through your website, never heard of you. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about what your company does?
Yeah, so this is something that we struggle a lot with in the sense of being a disruptor in the industry or being a non-traditionalist in the industry. People who are new on their non-toxic journey or less toxic journey want products that are better for them, but are expecting the performance of a traditional type candle. So if you're used to a big brand candle, you can smell it when you walk into the store. You can smell it when it's sitting on your counter with the lid on and it's not lit. And then when you light it, it will fill your entire house and it will sit and it will linger with that scent for a very long time. And that's not possible with natural ingredients. And so that's one of the biggest things that we are really trying to educate people on, is that there are better options for you, but they will not perform like a traditional fragrance-based product. We don't add phthalates to it. We don't add dispersants to it. We don't add any of those kind of chemicals that really allow a fragrance to permeate your whole house and have that staying power. So I really do equate it to somebody who's been eating a Snickers bar every day and has their palate overloaded with processed sugar and then bites into an apple. That apple just isn't going to taste the same as someone who's never had a candy bar or hasn't had one for a very long time. But your nose is very similar to your taste buds in that it has a set barrier that it knows. If it's used to having a high intensity load of fragrance or sugar, and then you eat or smell something natural, it's just not going to compare to that processed ingredient.
Right.
And so educating people on that and who are new in their journey or expecting a natural product to perform like a traditional chemical based, it's a big feat for us.
Yeah, it's a shift. It's a shift in mindset and expectation.
That's the best way to put it. Yes, it's setting your expectations for what you're getting and what you're looking for.
Yeah, for anybody that grew up in a candle burning house, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, realtors, they do that stuff just when they're doing open houses.
Absolutely.
Just to get the smell.
Yeah. And
it's all marketing.
It's all marketing. That's right. Exactly right. Where the realtor told you to start baking some bread before because it connotates an image of hominess.
Right.
We are seeing more and more realtors buy our candles to put in open houses to give as gifts for closing. And so, yeah, it is the realtor real estate space is a very big market for us.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I'm seeing that your product line kind of meshes with what's going on in our country in a few different niches, like the slow food movement and the movement to natural and organic, which is a little bit overdone to me. But once you do your homework and understand that things are different and things taste different, things smell different, things work different when you turn it from what it used to be into something new.
You're right. And I use the candy bar and apple example with firsthand knowledge. I started my freshman year. I went into my freshman year of high school weighing 260 pounds, morbidly obese at 16 years old. I never ate fruit and I never ate any of that. I would dip strawberries in sugar and that's how I ate strawberries. And so when I started wrestling and understanding nutrition and diet and cleaning up all of that and started eating apples and fruit, I was like, yeah, this actually does taste really good. And so I really do use that as a firsthand example of I know that's true.
That's a great story. So do you have a success story that you want to share with the audience? It could be from a customer perspective, or it could be a bigger win, like from your company's mission statement that you're trying to fulfill.
I do. I have a few of them, actually. I mean, our first big order was a wholesale order, and it was for about $30,000. It was a $30,000 PO. And that was fairly early on. That was in like 2000, I think it was in 2020. So we had one PO come in for an amount that we basically made the year before. So
nice.
Yeah, we were in the basement of our house and we were like, how are we going to make 5,000 candles? We had a whiteboard of the order. We were doing spreadsheets of how many we had made, how many we had left to make. It was the first time we shipped out a pallet load. So we were freaking out about that because we had to ship it across the country. And oh my gosh, what if something happens? Like we've spent a month and a half making this. And so it was a huge stress for us, but it was also a really big breakthrough in that we were flush with cash for the first time. And it was amazing. It was like, holy cow, this is actually a big business. And then as we've really leaned into our mission of the ingredient transparency and allowing people to understand what they're bringing into their homes, my most favorite review we've ever gotten was a mother and her autistic son. They buy our candles a lot because a part of his morning routine is lighting one of our candles. We are one of the only candles that he can burn because he is so chemical sensitive. If he doesn't burn one of our candles in the morning, his whole day is off. So it is we are a part of his daily routine. And it is so cool to be a part of that.
For sure.
I've used that story for about 4.5 years now. And it is just my most favorite story because it really does solidify what we are doing.
Well, that's awesome. So what trends are shaping the future of your industry today, Eric?
Yeah, kind of like what you alluded to earlier. There's a really big and broad shift towards the more natural or healthy space. So we're seeing it in food, of course, with red dyes being under attack, the MAHA movement, where they are now looking at glyphosate. I was looking at an article this morning about pesticides and herbicides. And so you're really starting to see that kind of shift over to the more natural space, or an awareness of what is at least in our products and how products are made. And fragrance is no exception to that. You're seeing big brands who are usually providing traditional deodorants and detergents, laundry detergents, soap detergents, going with a fragrance-free option for those who are skin sensitive or fragrance sensitive. And so you really are starting to see a shift away or an awareness of fragrance. I really do equate kind of what we're doing in the space we're in to what organic was in the early 2000s. People would see organic strawberries next to non-organic strawberries and be like, why am I paying an extra $5 for these organic strawberries? They're the same thing. To now where we have Whole Foods and every grocery store has an organic aisle.
Right.
And so you're really starting to see that kind of shift and that awareness grow of what is in my product that I'm bringing into my home and exposing my family to. And so we really are seeing that space grow.
Good. That's awesome. I mean, and kudos to you for being there to lean into that, because it is a good time for that.
It is a good time. Yeah. For not only for us for business, but also for everyone who is chemical sensitive or burned a candle or had an Axe body spray on and got a headache and didn't understand why. It is very rewarding, help people understand their health a little bit more, even if we are just a little candle.
Yeah, it's not like our grandparents.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly.
It's totally different 2 generations later.
It is very different. It's very different.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So thinking about our audience here of entrepreneurs, what advice would you have for other business owners that are looking to stay ahead of the curve in what they're doing, or speed bumps to avoid?
Yeah. Looking ahead of the curve, one of my most favorite things, my most favorite book ever was Start With Why by Simon Sinek. People aren't buying what they're selling, they're buying why you sell it. So we've seen a lot of candle companies come and we've seen a lot of them go. Specifically to candles, like I said earlier, it's a very small and low barrier of entry. But if you don't have a differentiator, a why, a story to what you're doing, people have a hard time differentiating your product with another that's right next to it.
Right.
People really want the story. People really want to see what they're buying or see who they're buying that from. And so having a solid why, having a solid understanding of why are you doing this? Why are you pouring your heart and soul into this?
Right.
It's of the utmost importance. So understanding why you're doing something, why do you get out of bed every day to do this? Because if we were making just a traditional candle or a regular candle, we would have quit a long time ago.
Sure.
Growing a business is so hard. There's days I am so overwhelmed. We're projected to do 4 million in sales this year. And the amount of things that are coming that we have to work on, it is just, it's overwhelming. I tell people makers who enjoy making candles or making a product, if you enjoy that part of the business, don't grow. I haven't made a candle in over 2 years. I don't make candles anymore. I sit in spreadsheets. I sit in meetings. I sit on phone calls. It's a business now.
Right. Right.
So if you enjoy the art of making something, don't grow, because you will not be making your product.
Don't get too big.
Don't get too big. Exactly right. Because your time will just be diverted to everything else.
Right.
To payroll, HR, regulatory. It just never stops.
Right.
And so understanding your why and being tenacious. If you do want to grow a business, go for it. It's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life.
Nice.
It is super fun. I've been in corporate. I was in corporate for 15 years and I focused on procurement or I focused on accounting. And now owning the business and running the business, I go every day from mopping plunging the women's toilet when it's stopped up, to budgeting, to production planning, to maintenance, everything. I am never doing the same thing 2 days in a row.
You wear all the hats. You walk around and you fix what's out of place.
That's right. Every day. And there is something new every day.
Oh, sure.
The more we do this, I'm learning that running a business, all it is crisis management.
Yeah.
It's just problem solving.
People management.
That's all you're doing. Yep, exactly right. So it is very hard. I start my mornings at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll finish around 5 or 6. And so it is nonstop. You
Yep.
are constantly thinking about it.
Yep.
And it will consume everything you will give it and more. It doesn't stop.
Well, you're lucky that you're wired to be able to deal with that.
Some days are easier, but
Yeah.
yeah, it does take a very specific personality. Like
So,
we've canceled vacations because of issues with the business.
yeah.
We've canceled vacations because we didn't have the money. I am the lowest paid employee per hour in this building. We just always are working.
Right.
I hope and pray that that changes someday, but it's not there yet. And so
You'll get there.
we'll get there. And that's
You-
where having your why and something other than wanting to make a ton of money,
Mhm.
you need to have that in your mindset of I'm doing this for a mission, for good, for other people. And that will get you out of bed every day and get you coming back.
Good advice. Great advice. So what's next for
Yeah. We have really 85% of our sales come directly from our website. In the last year, we've really tried to figure out, do we want to get into big box? Do we want to do wholesale and really leverage wholesale and try to get some big accounts? Going through some consultants and trying to understand what we would have to do to the business to get it set up for that, we are really shifting back to, all right, let's not do wholesale. Let's really focus on our website. Let's focus on Amazon. Let's focus on our boutique retail where we have direct communication with our end consumer, someone we can really tell our story to, someone we can connect with and have a relationship with. And so that's what we're really doing right now is we are really focusing back on direct to consumer website sales where we can own the relationship. And it is more of a relationship rather than big box where, a lot of the times they're trying to get the best price. They do a lot of nickel and diming for, hey, you put packing peanuts in my shipment. That's a $75 chargeback. It's super hard. The margins are really thin and it's difficult. You'll get a lot of volume, but you need to know your cost to the penny. And it didn't feel as personal to us. So,
okay, so you like the D2C.
We do like the D2C. It is for our product and the education that still needs to be had for our product. We like owning that relationship. We like having that relationship with the end consumer. And so that's what we're doing. We're refocusing and shifting our priorities back to our origin.
That's pretty cool, Eric. I don't think I've heard that story yet.
Yeah,
everybody's got big eyes on expansion in the ways of what you describe, but it doesn't always work out.
No, it doesn't.
And how do you fulfill those bigger orders sometimes when you're limited?
You're right. And that's one of the things obviously wholesale and big box works. Obviously it works for companies.
Yeah.
But that's where it was like we made 175,000 candles last year. Well, if I'm gearing up and I make 300,000 candles this year, but 50% of that are going to one or two clients because of big box, and I gear up and I hire people for it and I get machines to make all of those, and then I lose one client and I lose 50% of my volume, well, then what do I do?
Right.
Then I'm scrambling.
Right.
And so to me, it just didn't feel right. And so we like having our relationship with our customers. We like interacting with them on Instagram and having influencers come in. And that's where we're shifting back, and we want to keep it that way.
Love it. So on that note, what's the best way for listeners to get more involved in what you're building? Where can they see you?
So we are very active on Instagram. So Fontana Candle Company. I dress up in a candle costume every once in a while and become Mr. Candle. Sometimes I don't enjoy always doing, but I'll do it. And then
I'm going to look this up now.
Yep. We have a person dedicated to our Instagram account and doing social media in that sense. And he gets quite creative sometimes. So I just play along. And so yeah, it's fun in that aspect. It allows our customers to know Katie and myself and our team and really builds a rapport with them. But then our website is fontanacandlecompany.com and we have all of our products on there.
Nice. Well, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's a wrap here on another episode of Founder Freedom. A huge thanks to Eric Roering for sharing how Fontana Candle Company is rethinking what we bring into our homes, one clean candle at a time. From market tables to a growing production space, Eric's journey is a brilliant reminder that transparency and authenticity are powerful brand builders. Check them out at fontanacandlecompany.com or follow along on social media to see how their story keeps growing. If you like what you heard today, subscribe and share this episode. Leave us a review to help other founders find their path to freedom. Until next time, keep creating, keep scaling, and never lose your style.